Hey guys, welcome back to BHA Wisconsin Weekly Podcast. So thankful for you guys to join us. We have today with us a special guest. We have Monica of Accessibility Wisconsin. Before we jump into her, we're gonna jump into Bill. Go ahead, Bill. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. I'm doing a poor job of filling in for Ryan this week. He's off busy working, making a living. Couldn't join us from the road, so here we are running through the numbers. I'm gonna get real close for everyone when I freeze. Bam. There we go. So we're week 5/6 of Hike to Hunt, July 13th through the 19th. We're looking for the best camp spot / setup photo. That person will win a Nemo equipment spike 1% ultralight tent worth $250. So that's where we're at this week. Get out there, post a picture of your favorite camp spot or setup. I would definitely still put a privacy, make it so you're the only person that sees that map. That's what I'm always fearful of. So get out there, post those camp pictures.
Thank you, Bill. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce Monica. How you doing, Monica?
I'm doing well. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing good. Now, me and Monica, we go way back. We're part of the same hunter education course. Um,
Yeah.
Yep, group. We teach about 4 times a year?
Between 4 and 6 times a year,
Yeah.
depending on the need.
And you've been driven just out there since 2014? I think is when you signed up for the class.
Let's see. I think you are, no, 2012.
Oh, 2012. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
I got to give you those years. But yeah, you went straight head first in, and you now have an organization that you support and that has been doing amazing work within Wisconsin and outside of Wisconsin as well. You want to go ahead and tell us a little bit more about, one, your background, and two, what made you get into Accessibility Wisconsin? Accessibility Wisconsin.
There you go. Accessibility Wisconsin. The ability to access Wisconsin. How's that? My background is long, so I'll give you the short version. I have actually grown up as somebody who did not hunt. I fished, I camped, I hiked, but hunting was not part of my background at all. And then the concealed carry came about, and being someone who never had firearms in my home, it was kind of disconcerting. So I actually started taking classes about firearms because I knew nothing about it. And so I thought the most important thing when you're ignorant of something or fearful of something is to learn about it. So in the process of learning about firearms, I actually grew my passion for nature and went on my very first deer hunt with becoming an outdoors woman. And it was actually a very special deer hunt. I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. But when I went on that deer hunt, the ability to see the morning go from frost to all the fall colors, I think that was what made me just totally fall in love with the idea of hunting, because it's not really totally about the harvest. It's actually about the experience, and to be out in nature and do that again. And what do I mean by again? Again is referred to the fact that I have a spinal cord injury. I'm actually paralyzed, and so to hike and camp is very difficult. And so becoming an outdoors woman, that class was for women with physical mobility issues. And so it was a special course in that way. And then the hunt was also a special course in that way. So that's how it got me to Accessibility Wisconsin, which I can tell you a little bit more of, but you wanted just about me. So I'll stop there.
That's a good intro. I couldn't do better myself.
Thanks.
Yeah. Do we want to jump straight into accessibility Wisconsin, or do we want to have some more questions about Monica and up to her point of how did she get into hunting? And well, actually, I do have a question. What's the gain of being outdoors for you? What does it do for your physically and mentally? What does it bring to you? The connection with nature.
I think what it brings to me is what it brings to a lot of people. You get sunshine, and that helps your endorphins. You hear the birds, you experience a deer running in front of you, or, things that aren't in the city. And you see something bigger than you. And that in and of itself helps people feel like there's more to life.
So you could say that it has really increased your value of life.
Oh, absolutely. Just similar to hiking or other things. But then having a disability and being outside is even more uplifting and rewarding, because you can be so isolated, and everything is no, or within this limit. Or you guys don't think about the fact that just going grocery shopping, how difficult it is not to reach shelves or pushing a cart. But most people using knobby tires on a wheelchair, sure, we could go to Blue Mound and go on the asphalt, but then what happens when the oak trees or the maple trees are dropping twigs and stuff?
Yeah.
We're not independent. And so being outdoors with some kind of independence, that in and of itself makes you feel happier, healthier, and it increases independence and happiness, and decreases depression. And the ability to be with others with that independence is also important, because social isolation is very much the norm. You're constantly relying on people, and you can't just go out and do things with people. And that's what Accessibility Wisconsin is about.
Nice. Okay. That's a good segue into the next part. So 2012, you jump straight into hunting, and then accessibility comes around what time?
We started about 2015 brainstorming and attempting to work with the DNR on having outdoor wheelchairs available in parks that already have accessible cabins. However, at the time, due to budget and staff limitations, it really wasn't a go ahead from the Wisconsin DNR. So we took the idea and we ran with a few conservation clubs, and we then had our first fundraiser and got our first grant. And so Accessibility Wisconsin is about providing outdoor wheelchairs free for individuals to use, so that they can experience Wisconsin's outdoors in public and private land. We also have a trailer that people can tow with it, and it is a wheelchair with tracks.
Nice. Now, let's say if I wanted to, rent one of these, how would I go about doing it, and how much does it cost?
Well, we don't use the word rent because it's actually free. We use the word deposit. So what we do is we charge a $50 deposit for a trailer and a chair, and you can take the trailer and chair and use it. And then when you return it in the same or better condition, you provide a survey and pictures or video, then we return your deposit to you. And the reason for that is we have a lot of grantors in order for this to be free, and we need data. And the data is the surveys. And the surveys say, how did this increase your independence? Rate it. How does this increase your outlook on life? Rate it. Did you use it on public land? Did you use it on private land? Did you use it for a social event, hunting, fishing? The idea is extremely unusual that you can actually take adaptive equipment and use it where you want. And because we have that model, we've had other states look at us as an example, and we've won awards because of that example.
That's pretty interesting. Emily looks like she has a question.
I was going to say, Monica, can I give a plug for the Hunter R3 grant since we were talking about?
Please do.
So yeah, Monica and Accessibility Wisconsin applied for funding through the DNR for the track chairs, in part through the R3 team's Hunter R3 grant. So it's right now it's an every other year grant. We're looking at making that into an annual grant, but different groups and organizations, schools, tribes, pretty much anybody who has an entity or a small business, an LLC, a nonprofit, obviously, they can apply for funding for projects to get more people outdoors and hunting. So that's one of our big recruitment, retention, reactivation efforts in the DNR program. So we've had a number of really cool projects come out of that. In addition to Accessibility Wisconsin, the Aldo Leopold Foundation has done a number of projects. I'm trying to think of others off the top of my head. There's been efforts to increase the number of Hunt for Food programs throughout the state through Pheasants Forever and NWTF through buying gear sets. So definitely funding available, and these are exactly the kinds of efforts that we're looking into, helping outside partners be able to launch these great ideas. So just wanted to put a plug in for that. And that's part of the reason why they're collecting so much data through their surveys. Is one of the ways that we evaluate these different R3 programs is through collecting customer ID numbers through the DNR. So everybody who buys a hunting license or registers a boat or checks out a track chair, we get their individual customer ID number, and that way we can see if they continue coming back, if that was their first time outside. So, or if that was their first time using that method, or buying a hunting or fishing license or things like that. So that's a big, huge part of our evaluation efforts in our team. It's really important to me, especially.
Definitely. And I just wanted to add quickly that the other important thing about that is a lot of our mentors, sometimes they give up because they think it's difficult to continue being a mentor in hunting and fishing. And this is an opportunity for them to continue. And then people who have been injured that were previous hunters think they can't hunt anymore. And again, we're allowing them to continue. So there is some renewal, but I would say reactivation and retention is one of the bigger things that AAW allows. And it doesn't even have to be an older person. We've had a gentleman that was 42 and had ACL surgery, and he wanted to continue doing his archery. And so he checked out the track chair while he was healing, and then returned it, and so he could continue with his hunting and shooting sports. So it's not just for permanent mobility issues, it's also for temporary. So I just want to bring that up too. But thanks, Emily. I mean, AAW is very proud to be an awardee.
You guys are doing amazing work. So don't mind me asking, how many chairs do you guys have throughout the state of Wisconsin?
As of today, we have 17, and our goal prior to COVID-19 was 20 in 2020. And we have 10 different host locations. And what a host location is we partner with other organizations like Fishing Has No Boundaries, or an outdoor heritage center like River Edge in Ozaukee County, and try to place them all throughout the state. And in the process of placing them all throughout the state, then we're able to have those chairs available, those 17 chairs available. The other unique thing is organization can check them out too. So we've had Easter seals, we've had Pheasants Forever check them out because their instructor, who is also on their board, happened to need them for youth activity day. So that's another example. So it's for individuals. Organizations can use them to make their activities accessible.
Wow, that's cool. And we got Bill back. Welcome back, Bill. Maybe he froze a little bit.
No, I got kicked out, but I'm happy to be back. I caught the tail end of how important AAW is to R3 strategy and implementation in Wisconsin. That was kind of one of the questions I had for the Northwoods reception kicked me off. And if you covered this after I asked my question, just tell me to go back and watch it. And we can keep moving on. But you mentioned the idea of independence early on, the idea of being out there with other people with similar physical presentations, and how typically there's a lot of social isolation going on. So I guess, Monica, my question is, so this idea of independence, having a tribe, what did that look like for you prior to your injury, and then after the bow event, kind of, because it definitely seems like you're passionate about it, and AAW is a great program. So I guess, what was it prior to that event, and kind of what has changed for you over the years?
Okay, I'm going to reiterate because you kind of cut in and out, so I just want to make sure I understand your question. You're asking me what was my social interactions and independence prior to having a spinal cord injury, and then how was it later? Did I interpret your question correctly?
Yes, how have those, because like you mentioned, so many of us just going to the grocery store, there's so many things we take for granted. So how have your ideas around that changed over the years?
Okay, I think I'm going to answer it this way, and if I'm not answering your question right, just ask again. So prior to my injury, I was a room parent to my two sons, who at the time were in 3rd grade and 5th grade. I was a soccer coach. I did many things to be interactive with my sons, their schooling, their social life. You know, we went to Devil's Lake and hiked, and we fished. Then all of a sudden I have a spinal cord injury. I have 2 active boys. Now what am I gonna do? So, okay, there's a lot of healing and other stuff that we don't need to go into right now. But all of a sudden, I'm allowed to go to programs with other people with mobility challenges. But yet there aren't programs where I can do it with my kids. Well, there are programs for children with disabilities to do things with their parents, but anything around me learning about kayaking with a disability or hunting with a disability, it's all about me doing it with other people with mobility issues. Yet you don't do things necessarily because you're left-handed with all left-handers, and Emily doesn't do everything because, you know, she has brown eyes, assuming you do. I can't see from here. But so all of a sudden, you're not only not able to go to your parents' home or your friend's home or go grocery shopping by yourself, but now you're not even expected to do things with your own social group. And so to me, that's why Accessibility Wisconsin is very important, to use the model, to take the equipment, to do it with your social interactions, so that you feel rewarded, independent. So did I answer your question?
You crushed it. I think that's something a lot of us, even the idea of hike to hunt being called that, it's something a lot of us, being able to hike is something a lot of us take for granted. So it's powerful, and more people need to have exposure to your message, the message of AAW, and just how important it is, the gift of being able to use your legs, be able to get out there. So however we can kind of all come together and realize that, and then help get the message of AAW out there, I think it's going to make everyone healthier, happier, and stronger overall. So no, you crushed it. Thanks, Monica.
And so, Monica, on the screen right now, I have the website for AAW, and it's showing off the chair. Do you mind giving us more detail about the chair?
Yes, the uniqueness of the chair is that it has the tracks. So I can go through the marsh, I can go through snow. The other uniqueness is that it's battery powered. Sorry, lightning in the background, but it's battery powered. And the reason that's important is because you can go as slow and quietly as you want when you're bird watching or hiking or hunting. And I actually kicked up a buck when I was going crossbow hunting. And of course, my crossbow was in the case. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I don't think I've ever seen a buck that close before. He was literally within 20 yards. And I mean, you don't have that kind of experience. So that's the nice thing, is that it's quiet. It goes walking speed. I mean, there are other, quote, power-driven mobility devices that don't go walking speed, are not single user, and are not battery powered. So that's what makes this chair unique as far as being like my hiking boots. Okay, so if you wear your hiking boots, I need a pair of hiking boots. Only my hiking boots cost $14,000 to $20,000. And I have to organize getting them there and transferring into it. The other unique thing is that it tilts with you. Now, if anybody's used a wheelchair before, you know that if you go uphill, then you're bending down to be really powerful because it's really hard. And if you're going downhill, you're leaning back so that you're taking control and not rolling out of your chair. And you got to watch for bumps and stuff. Well, this has a tilt switch, and that tilt switch allows you then to move with the marsh and the hills and the valleys and go over the acorns and the twigs. And the very first time I took the chair out using those features, all of a sudden my husband went, "Where are you, Monica?" And then he got upset. "Why did you go away?" And I go, "Because I could." Think about that. So that's some of the uniqueness of the chair. And it has an LED light, so in dusk and dawn, you can safely find your way. Oh, and another fun thing is I took a UW student on a hunt, and she got her first Wisconsin doe, and I got to actually drag it back to the trailer.
That's awesome.
And so that was fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just thinking about how you mentioned how you left because you could. Like, I don't know, one of the things that I enjoy most about being outside, I like being with my friends and family, but I also like being kind of by myself in those spaces too. And so I can imagine how the track chair really helps you just have that independence and be able to be by yourself in outdoor spaces like a marsh that are just hard to walk through anyway. And yeah, I can totally relate to that. And it's pretty badass that you dragged the deer out. That was awesome.
Yep, that's true. That's a a wonderful thing, and I realize that that's something that's very rare. I've had people cry and go, "It's been 12 years since I've been able to be out in nature," and they just love the fact that they can use the chair. We had a sister and brother-in-law actually check out the trailer and chair and take it to the family farm and surprise the brother that had a new spinal cord injury and for his birthday, and he couldn't believe it because that's the first time since his injury he'd been out to the family farm. So both the sense of being independent and isolated in a good way, and the sense of being with your social interactions.
Yep.
That's awesome. I have one more question about the chair. How far can you go on a single charge?
That depends, of course. It's kind of, I guess, how far can your hiking boots go? But in general, so like in ice, when it's cold, probably 2 to 3 hours. The important thing is when you're sitting and not doing anything, shut off the battery, shut off the power. In the summer, I can sometimes run it 6 hours straight.
Wow.
Going up hills or down hills, or if I'm just going around.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Mr. Steve says, "Hi, Anthony."
Tell him I said hello. Hey, my buddy, my friend. How you doing, man? We'll have to get him on the show at some point.
I would do that. Absolutely.
Sorry, we had to drop in. Photo bomb, he says.
So I have a question quickly. How is COVID impacting AAW? And then also, how are you guys dealing with social distancing in AAW?
Two good questions. COVID has impacted AAW in the fact that we're doing a lot more electronic newsletters and trying to get more information out from that perspective. But a lot of people who have mobility issues tend not to, that's not really their medium. So normally we're extremely busy. All the chairs are checked out. Organizations have at least 1 to 2 chairs or 3 chairs using them for their events. Those things aren't happening. As far as social distancing, individuals have been checking the chairs out. We've gotten grants to help with making sure we have hand sanitizer, gloves, masks, all those things that are important so that if individuals...
Sorry, Monica, you kind of broke up. Don't mind repeating that last phrase one more time?
Sorry, say it again, Anthony.
Oh, you kind of broke out. We couldn't hear you. Can you say it one more time?
Oh, okay. Yes. I was saying that a lot of the festivals have been canceled, so there's hardly been any social events, but from an individual perspective, individuals are checking them out. The chairs get cleaned. We've got masks. We have volunteers who also are in that high risk category. So I would encourage, if any of you who are at lower risk would like to volunteer to help with cleaning up, checking chairs in and out, helping with social media, we love it. So that's probably where our successes and limitations have been.
Okay. I'm looking at your website right now, and I see to get involved. There's a link there. So if anyone's interested, just go to accessibilitywisconsin.org, and you can sign up to volunteer. I know I will.
Yeah, we have a social media guy.
Monica, can I jump in and ask more about how you became interested in firearms and then hunt through that hunting? So you mentioned that you took the firearms course just because of your interest and maybe a little bit of trepidation about concealed carry laws. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, what kinds of things were you worried about, and what was the impetus behind taking a class? Did you take a concealed carry course, or did you take Hunter Ed right off the bat?
I actually took a Coming Outdoors Women course, 2 of them.
Nice.
Which they had archery and pistols and a variety of shotguns and rifles, which for me, I didn't understand the difference between a shotgun and a rifle.
Neither did I when I started.
And the impetus basically was before my injury, I was in martial arts, and I felt I could protect myself. Then after my injury, I can somewhat, but now with this whole concept of firearms, I really wanted to at least be able to know what was real, what wasn't. If for some reason I found a firearm, was it safe? Wasn't it? Was it loaded? I had no idea. And so that was part of the impetus. And I would say, I feel every person should take a firearm course, if not just for the knowledge. Because I'll give you a simple example. When I learned that red means, quote, dead or alive, and non-red meant that it was safe, it made no sense to me. Red means stop. In everyday life, red means stop. So had I picked up a firearm where it was red, I probably would have assumed that that meant it was safe. And I'm an adult in the world. I mean, I took it in my late 20 plus somethings, and so that was the impetus for taking it, was really not feeling like I could self-protect or know anything about it. And then you had a second part of that question that I kind of forgot. Do you remember, Emily?
I think that was it. I was just wondering what kind of course you ended up taking, and just kind of the impetus behind that. So what Monica was talking about, if there's any non-hunters listening in, is what the safety on the gun. So it's usually a button or like a
slide bar.
A what?
A slide bar, yeah, like a tang.
Yeah, slide bar. And it's got a little red dot that gets uncovered when the gun is not safe. And so, yeah, I know it was same thing with me and Monica. I just really didn't know anything about the mechanics of firearms, and I'd never held one before I took a Learn to Hunt program, so I can totally relate to that too. And a lot of women, especially that I've talked with, they have just like sort of a mental block about handling firearms in general, and I mean men as well, but I think like if you study feminism at all and stuff like that, there's this trend that women are worried about handling power tools, and it's just like this social construction that we're taught when we're really young, and it goes through it kind of results in that later on in life. And so I think that that's a very common way for people to start becoming interested in just learning more about that, and why are they afraid, and kind of taking ownership and control over that and overcoming it. So I think that's pretty cool. And then I think it's awesome that you're in a position to work with BHA, especially because I think BHA is just a great program to be able to welcome people into those kinds of things too. So that's super cool. So how did you get into hunting after? It was through the BHA program probably, right? They had some additional opportunities after the firearms course.
I took the course, and then one of the volunteers said, you like this, you like learning about this, you should take a hunter safety course.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so then I took hunter safety, And once I took hunter safety, I love teaching. I was a teacher in different countries, and I loved traveling, and I love all that experience. And so it led to a hunter safety instructor encouraging me. And then as far as hunting went, the other opportunities were through some hunting groups that allowed me to hunt with a mentor. And my first harvest was pheasants, and so I loved pheasant hunting in the track chair with a shotgun. And then later I moved to turkey and deer hunting, even though it was my first mentored hunt with a Becoming Outdoors woman hunter safety instructor. I wasn't really into deer hunting as much as I was into being in the blind and watching nature. It was more like bird watching, but I happened to have a rifle in case a deer came.
Totally. Yep.
But I did harvest my first Wisconsin doe this last year.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Can you tell us the story?
Yes, we recently have property in Iowa County, and we went out there, and my sons and my husband built a blind that I could take a track chair up into. And I hunted the whole first season, and I would only see does with their yearlings. And I just am like, I am not taking a doe with a yearling. It just is not happening. I refuse.
Yep.
And then it was the December hunt, and I wasn't seeing anything. No bucks, no does, no nothing. And then a doe came out about a half an hour before the end of shooting time. And I kind of watched her, and I wasn't sure. And I was looking around to see if a buck was following, or is there another yearling around? And I didn't see anything. And I just kind of thought, well, she's standing here. And then finally I thought, she's giving me a good angle. I felt right about it. I took my safety off, and she went down within 30 yards, and Steve came up and oh my goodness. Gutted her out, but I didn't want to use that word. Dressed her.
Process.
Yeah, field dressed her. Then I drug her down to the pole barn. We hung her, and I'm gonna make a thermometer from her deer hoof. And,
really? Oh, nice. That's awesome.
And I have her hide so that I can make a little blanket. And of course I'm bald. But the reason I enjoy harvesting, and I don't know if any of you guys are parents, but the reason I really enjoy harvesting is because once I harvest it and I cook it, whether it's with onions and mushrooms or it's a roast or whatever, I love the fact that my children and my family all are like, this is delicious, and they're very thankful for the taste of the meat, where it comes from, and that's the end reward. So
nice. That's very cool. So how long did it take you from the time you took that first firearms course? And then, I assume it was a process of many years, because I know that's the way it was for me, and just gaining more and more confidence and experience with those things. And but
I think it took 9 years. 9 years.
I think that's about right for me too. But Anthony, do you have other questions? Otherwise I have one more for Monica. Go ahead.
Well, Monica, so you went from pretty much just kind of having these guided experiences into the outdoors, and then you began to become an instructor for the outdoors. Do you want to tell us more about how you shift from being taught to now teaching?
question.
Because that's a
Sure.
huge hurdle right there, and especially for being someone who is differently abled, to have the confidence and the knowledge to, one, educate those who aren't aware of the difficulties and challenges, and just expanding people's mind frame. Uh,
Yeah, well, first, you're an apprentice. And so I focused on the fact that I'm actually teaching hunter safety. And if there were questions I didn't know, because sometimes parents and other people who are taking the course think that because you're an instructor, you know everything. I was very upfront about what I knew and didn't know. So if they would go, hey, what kind of gun cleaning solvent should I use? I'm I'm not the right person to ask that question. However, I'll send you over here. And because I went through such a mentored process, I that was a reward that I wanted to give back because I appreciated it so much. It takes a lot to spend time with someone you don't know in a blind, and then spend some time with somebody with a disability that you also may be unaware of and afraid of. You don't, I mean, it's not easy for people to accept you as you, the person, not the person. Share. That's a big barrier. So I appreciate both of those.
that's perfect. Wow. I'm gonna open the floor. Bill, do you have a question? Kelly?
I'll go for it. I've been hesitant to unmute because we are in a massive thunderstorm right now. I think any of you in the Madison area are just getting pounded. But yeah, Monica, one of the things that I think about a lot in relation to your organization is how can we, as people who think about public lands, BHA as an organization that is advocating for access to public lands, do better than what we've done in the past. Related to that, I guess, I'll say I got to rep my hat for 1 minute, which is Ducks Unlimited. And in the past, Ducks Unlimited I've worked with organizations like Ducks Unlimited to provide access via, accessible hunting blinds on state properties. And to link that to something you said earlier, Monica, part of the challenge is not just making sure that there's a place for people to go who have a mobility challenge, but just the process of getting there in general is a challenge, from getting to the parking lot, then out to the blind. And that was one of the big hurdles for the public land managers, was not just to get the blind out there, that's the easy part, but how do people get there? And so what I think is really great about the chairs is that really aids that process, right? We don't necessarily have to think about how are we going to get some vehicle down to this blind? Do we have enough place for people to unload and then get into the blind? Can they turn around? All of these things were really challenging for us. So again, the chairs, I think, are the power-driven chairs are great. And so in light of that, what else can, land management agencies like Fish and Wildlife Service, like the DNR, be doing to provide access for people in a variety of venues? We have the park system, which is definitely more developed than, let's say, our wildlife areas. Similar, you have a similar kind of experience in that the National Wildlife Refuge system tends to be a little bit more developed infrastructure-wise than the state wildlife areas. So what do you think these public land management agencies can be doing more of in order to ensure that there's better access for everybody of varying mobility abilities?
I would say there are a few things. One is awareness. A lot of people don't even know that the chairs are available, that they're available to be taken to a wildlife area, to be able to unload there, leave the trailer there. And if they're not able to leave a trailer there, how to allow that to happen. Then when you talk about blinds, the chairs are actually wider than a wheelchair. So to make sure that the door opening for whatever type of blind is readily, has the right width. So awareness. The second thing is volunteers, friends groups, so that they can help spread the word, or they can help volunteer. Maybe say, a friends group says once a month, we're going to ensure that a track chair is available at this wildlife refuge for this weekend, and then advertise that to help not only people know about the wildlife refuge, but also the availability of people being able to use the chair and trailer. So using those friends groups. The other thing is having it out in newsletters, helping us with contacts. We are constantly networking. After all, who are you again, Emily? No. So, making sure that, bring us into the conversation, even if you're not sure who to talk to or how to look at that. Bring us in. We work with Darren Marsh of Dane County. We work with other counties. We work with Middleton Parks. We want to be a tool to help with that. So either bring us in, make people aware, help us advertise, help us work with the friends group, help the friends group bring in volunteers. And then I guess finally is if there's some kind of funding opportunities, either we can work with you to help with that and fundraise, or let us know about it and we'll see what we can do. Because, it's normally money, people, and nobody knows about it, right? So I think I covered those things. Anthony, did I miss something?
No, you hit it all. Out the park. I do have a question, my final question. What are the goals? With COVID, what does AAW look after COVID? What are the things that you guys wish to achieve?
I feel that with COVID-19, our goals are still very similar. Our mission is to have at least one chair in every county. So that doesn't change. What changes is how do we interact with people to make that happen, and interact with organizations to make that happen. I did miss one thing with Kelly. And I think that's also, if there's an event or something that's going on, or a wildlife refuge that would have a chair or trailer there, that we're noting it on that organization's website so that it's part of their brochure and their Facebook page and their social media. And so I feel with COVID-19, the important thing is more networking and more social media, more podcasts, so that people know about this, so that we can both hike with an outdoor wheelchair all the way to hunt with an outdoor wheelchair. After all, our mission is outdoors access for all, whether it's alone or with other people.
Wow, that's well said. So you got 17 chairs so far, and there's 72 counties in Wisconsin, so we got some donations, some fundraising, some events to put on.
That's right. And I welcome you all and more.
All right, awesome. Do you guys have any other questions for Monica? I think we're almost at time.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much for coming on. We're so happy to have you, and we will definitely have to have you again as you guys get closer to your goals.
All right. Take care.
Good to talk with you, Monica.
Right. Good talking with you. Nice meeting you, Kelly.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Monica. That was awesome.
All right. Bye.
All right, we are done.